people here today.
Ms. Sprague. Today's meeting in the Municipal Code Enforcement Board is called to order on whatever today is, the March 30th, 2024.
28th.
March 28th, 2024. You can say it. Please rise for the pledge to the flag.
I pledge to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. I'm not your usual chair, so be patient with me. Agendas of today's meeting are on the wall at the entrance to the chambers. Please remember to turn off your cell phones. The Municipal Code Enforcement Board consists of 7 members who are appointed by the City Council. We serve voluntarily. It is the board's intention to promote, protect, and improve the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens of Clearwater by providing this equitable, effective, and inexpensive method of enforcing certain codes within the city. The board considers new business items in 2 parts. First, the violation, and then the affirmative relief. Formal rules of evidence do not apply. Each side is limited to 15 minutes. The board may grant additional time. All proceedings will be conducted in a calm, civil manner. Individuals conduct themselves otherwise will be asked to leave. If necessary, they will be escorted from the chambers. Now I ask that all who plan to speak, please rise and be sworn in by the clerk. Wow.
Do you swear affirm to tell the truth, right, and entire testimony?
Our first order of business is to review and approve the minutes of last month's meeting. May I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the last meeting.
Do we have a second?
I second.
Favor?
Aye.
Minutes are approved. Is there anyone here to speak on items not on the agenda? Happy day. Next on the agenda, we're going to go to our new business items. And case number 0324, find respondents Patricia DePriest at 1631 Tuscaloosa Road in violation of exterior services.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Please state your name.
It's there, not there. There we go.
There we go.
Dave Jensen, Co-Compliance Inspector with the City of Clearwater. This is case 3-24. It's for 1631 Tuscola.
Go that way.
Are you all able to see it okay like
Yes.
that? All right.
Yeah.
There's going to be 1 violation for exterior surfaces. These are the dates for the notice of violation and the compliance date. This property has been before the board before. We do have current orders on it regarding other things. We have performed some abatements at the property, one here just a few months ago. We're here for exterior surfaces today. The owner, Patricia DePriest, I've spoken to her several times in person. She was put in touch with our Economic Development Department in the hopes that she would apply for a grant to maybe get some help with the ordinance violation corrections. I last spoke to her, I believe, on the 15th, and she still had not contacted them after her initial contact. And it is all on her to contact them about that. So we're moving forward with hopefully trying to get her to at least do something with the property. This property's been in disrepair for several years. As you can see here, gutters are falling down. The soffit and fascia around the entire circumference of the building is rotted or missing. This is the front corner. You'll see a picture in a minute of a hole that's over here on this side. See if I can make this bigger and make it work.
Does anybody live in it?
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
she lives there. This board here was replaced at some point, never painted or finished, so it's rotting again already. There we This is more of the soffit fascia area in the gutter. You can see it's falling away from the house. It's actually not doing anything to, run water away from the structure itself. This is that front corner that you saw in a further out picture, just more of the same condition. The walls and everything need to be pressure washed, cleaned, and painted. They have fine residue, mold, and different things in them. The roof is completely in disrepair. They're missing shingles in some sections. It's completely past its life. There's a hole right here that goes up into the structure. As you can see, that's all rotted away. This is that board I pointed out from the back side that it was replaced at some point and just never taken care of or finished so that it didn't rot anymore. And these are pictures here from the 27th of February. Again, that's that same board on the other side. The condition of the place hasn't changed at all in the months that I've been working with her on it. So compliance can be met for the exterior surfaces by repairing, replacing the soffit, fascia, and underlying wood, repairing, replacing the damaged and missing vents, repairing or removing the gutters, cleaning, pressure washing, removing any overgrowth from the exterior walls, and painting the exterior as needed. Requesting compliance on or before April 27th, 2024, a fine of $150 per day for each day the violation exists.
Can I ask a question? You were continued from January and then February. Is that because you were trying to work with the lady?
January, I was out of town at a training, and then February last month, Mr. Priest wasn't feeling well and wasn't able to be here, and she asked that we continue it. So,
Okay.
yeah.
And I might be remiss, I missed out something I should have said earlier. Is there anyone here to speak on this case? And I don't think there
I
is. but-
believe I don't believe she's here today. So.
Okay. Thank you for that. Board?
Is this the first motion?
Yes.
I'll do it. I move to find a respondent in violation of the code as referred to in the affidavit in this case.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Oh,
We're gonna do
we
this.
got to do the second part.
Yeah.
I move to enter an order requiring the respondent to correct the violations on or before April 27th, 2024. If the respondent does not comply by that date, the board may order a fine of $150 per day per violation for each day each violation continues to exist.
Second.
If fines and fees remain unpaid 3 months after such lien is filed, the city is authorized to foreclose, collect, or settle such lien.
Second.
All in
Thank you.
favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Continue this.
Okay. Case number 17-24, Shanti Turner and Mark Avicino of 1142 Palm Bluff Street. Is there anybody here to speak on this case?
Chair, this is being continued to April.
Oh,
good.
well, that made that one easy. Moving on to case 2124, 1180 Grove Street. Is there anyone here to speak on that case? No, thank you. Inspector?
Give it a try here. Good afternoon, Board. How are y'all?
Doing
Good.
Thank you.
There we go. John Stevens, Code Inspector of the City of Clearwater. This is going to be case number 21-24, reference 1180 Grove Street. We have one violation here of multiple subsections of 3-1502B, which is covering exterior surfaces, roof maintenance, clean roof, and false roof elements. These are the dates that I sent out the notice of violation, the compliance date, and then the date that I received the certified mail green card. This is a picture of the residence on the initial date of violation. You can see up there that there's some torn, it looks like roofing paper, probably over top of the older roof, as well as like some wood that looked like it was nailed down or something of that nature to try to hold that paper down. Assuming they were going to try to fix the roof at some point, but then it never went anywhere. This is actually on the first compliance date of December 11th. You can see the paper hasn't been removed. It's kind of hard to see in the pictures there, but these screens down here on the bottom, those were torn and partially blown out by the wind. And then this picture over here on the right is actually where they had put a tarp up on it and had part of the roof covered. And of course, the wind has ripped it up and now it's just kind of loosely blowing around. The case ended up getting continued today because they asked for a continuance after they contacted the city clerk's office, trying to finish up some permitting issues so they can try to renovate the property. And it looks like they're still working on that, but they have not obtained the permits. And I actually haven't had any contact from anyone from the organization. These are pictures actually from this morning, and as you can see, the tarp's still up there. It's loosely hanging. You still got the paper. They actually did remove the screens down on this bottom here, so those aren't flailing around anymore. The other screens are there, but they appear to be intact, good enough that it's not an issue. So compliance can be met for this by removing the tarp and the roofing paper that's torn and hanging on the roof, repairing and removing the torn screens, which obviously looks like they've done part of that from the front porch area. And we're just asking that they come into compliance within 5 days, or excuse me, by April 27th. And if not, $150 fine a day for each day the violation exists.
Have they even applied for the permit, or you don't see anything pending?
It's still pending. From my understanding and talking to one of our permitting technicians, they are still waiting from, I guess, the letter of commencement from the contractor.
Oh,
So it's still in limbo right now.
okay. Any questions?
I move to find the respondent in violation of the code as referred to.
I have questions first.
Pardon me.
Excuse me, I've got a couple of questions.
I'm a little fast today.
You are,
I'll
you
back
are,
up.
you're quick
Give
on
us
the
that
trigger.
drink.
I'm glad you're on the ball,
I
but
had a root beer float kept me going.
So they've applied for a permit, but it's held up in permitting because they need that notice of commencement for it to move forward.
Yeah. And in looking in the system, this has been a permit that they've been working on for some time, like about the same time frame that this originally got cited back last year.
Gotcha. So did they apply for the permit or did the contractor apply for it, do you know?
That I do not know.
Okay. No other documentation regarding a roofer involved or anything?
I know the permit, the language in it talks about doing the roof and also doing the interior of the structure, but I didn't look at contractor names or anything of that nature.
Okay. All right, and when was the last time you spoke with the homeowner?
I haven't spoken with anybody. This is actually owned by an LLC that owns the property and I guess is rehabbing it, but I actually haven't had contact from anybody personally myself.
Okay, thank you.
No, I'm not going to do it now. You hurt my feelings.
I
I move to
ref-
find the respondent in violation of the code as referred to in the affidavit in this case.
A second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, board.
Second part.
I move to enter an order requiring the respondent to correct the violations on or before April 27, 2024. If the respondent does not comply by that date, the board may order a fine of $150 per day per violation for each day each violation continues to exist. If fines and fees remain unpaid 3 months after such lien is filed, the city is authorized to foreclose, collect, or settle such lien.
Thank you.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Case number 3234, find Vicky A. Haas at 3035 Oak Grove Drive in violation of Code of Exterior Services. Is there anyone here to speak on this case?
I'm here. My name is Luke LaRoe. I
I
represent
don't
Ms.
believe
Haas.
I don't believe they were sworn in at the time.
Mr. LaRoe was
I was
sworn
sworn
in.
in, but I don't know if you missed.
I think she may have.
Go ahead.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth throughout your entire testimony? Yes. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that.
This is going to sound rather unique, but when I first started to represent Ms. Haas, it was some years ago. I know that she's had some continuing issues, and I've had the pleasure of working with Ms. Brown and helping resolve many of those issues. But during the interim, I was hired by the city of Clearwater to represent them in federal court, and I believe I would have a conflict of interest, and I believe the city attorney believes I would have a conflict of interest as well to represent Ms. Haas in a code enforcement case against the city when I represent the city in another case. So I think I was in agreement with that. I need to err on the side of caution. So all I was going to do was to see if we could request a continuance so that Ms. Haas could try to find new counsel so that I could withdraw appropriately and let her get an attorney that would be able to represent her without a conflict of interest. And I think that sums up my position. And I explained that to my esteemed colleague, Mr. Simpson, and that's my position today, and that's the basis of my request for a continuance.
Okay, and then should we hear from the inspector?
Well, why not just continue it? I mean, if she's trying to get an attorney and
No,
she's...
you need to, it's a legitimate request.
Yeah, let's just continue it.
Okay. I just don't know anything about it.
Do we have somebody want to make a motion?
I
I
don't-
make a motion to continue the case, sorry.
For how
second.
long? Another month?
Until, for how long?
Time we
Good.
looking for?
I would imagine a month would be appropriate.
Great.
Okay.
I second it.
I'll finish the motion. I make a motion to continue this case until our next meeting at April 27th, 2024.
Second.
All
Thank
in
you.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Very good. And I-
Motion
I-
passes.
To clarify, I'm sorry, the meeting is on April 24th. Just
April 24th.
April
All right.
24th.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you for your
Good.
time.
And I will formally notice the board with my withdrawal from this case and
Okay.
express my deepest
You
appreciation
were right,
for
I
the
think this is
privilege.
the first time we ever heard that as
It did seem rather unique,
It's
so,
unique.
Yeah.
and
You get
appreciate
the
that
prize.
very much.
Thank you.
All right, have a good day, and
Thank
thank
you.
you
Too.
again.
Thank you.
Okay. Case number 33-24, find respondents Mark and Cynthia Jackson of 1775 Lawrence Drive in violation of code for roof maintenance and issue an order of compliance. Anybody here to speak on that case? Gentleman in the back, if you would step forward, please. You were sworn in, correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
and
State your
address.
name and address.
Mark Jackson, 1775 Lawrence Drive.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay.
Do you either admit or deny the violation?
Yeah, we're in violation.
Okay.
How we got to that is a long
Okay.
story. yeah.
Well,
We're
thank you.
actively working, we have blueprints, we're just gotta get HVAC to the city, pull the permit, and get going.
Perfect. If you don't have a seat for a second, we'll have the inspector explain it, and then we'll have you come back up as well. It's like a round robin.
Don't we go through first?
No, we're on the hearing first.
Yeah.
Good
Good
afternoon,
afternoon.
Board. Shelby Brown, Code Compliance Inspector, City of Clearwater. We're here for case 33-24 today, and that's for 1775 Lawrence Drive. Let's see. All right, we'll try this. All right, there's one violation at this property. It's for roof maintenance and a clean roof. That's for code section 3-1502 D1 and D3. You can see a picture there of what the roof looks like. So that's what we're here for today, just that. Okay. So we're locking up here a little bit. There we go. All right, so I've been working with the Jacksons for quite a while now. My courtesy letter went out April 25th of last year, and we eventually sent a notice of violation in September of last year with a compliance date of October 30th. My first phone call with Mr. Jackson was May 4th last year, and then we had subsequent calls and emails in October, November, December, January and March. So we've been trying to work through this for a long time, and we did post the hearing notice for today's meeting, as it wasn't signed for. So this is a Google image that is from April of 2022. And I just pulled this up so that we could see at that time the roof had an issue. It was easy to see in this image. It looks like they're kind of the eaves as it meets above the entryway there. So it's been, in a situation here for at least a couple years probably. Here's the picture I took on April 23rd. There was a lot of tarps, sandbags. Obviously the roof has some issues and that's not allowed per our ordinance. We're going to flash forward to January 16th. The tarps are replicating. There's more of them now. They're a little neater on there, but this is a corner house. It's really visible when you come into the neighborhood. And that's another picture taken from the other side of the property, so you can see there's a lot of elements in place on this roof that aren't a part of the roof. Here's a shot from February 23rd. You can see square on that, a good portion of the roof is still covered up. Another farther away image of that. And then on March 14th, I was out to post the hearing notice, which I put at the door. And I did run into one of Mr. Jackson's neighbors and asked if that was him, and he said, heck no, he was just out there helping him with his gardening, and let me post the notice there. So compliance can be met for the roof maintenance. The roof needs to be repaired so that it is in a safe, secure, and watertight condition. The temporary elements, which are the numerous tarps, sandbags, etc., must be removed, as well as like all the dirt that's accumulating on there now. If a building permit is required to repair the roof, it should be obtained, and the work should commence. A roof replacement is also an option and would require a building permit. And my recommendation for case 33-24, where there's one violation for roof maintenance, We're requesting compliance on or before May 27th, 2024, or a fine of $150 per day for each day the violation continues to exist.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
May I have the first motion? Just get that out of the way.
I move to find the respondent in violation of the code as referred to in the affidavit in this case.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mark, if you may, please come forward and tell us what your plans are.
Yes, we have blueprints. We had the sequence of things that happened. Our insurance company went bankrupt, insolvent, UPC nationwide. The regional director lied to us, so we thought we had the claim for that 2 years ago. So we've been dealing with architects. Architect backed off the first project. We were going to do a big second story, a big garage, and then jumping through hoops, we backed that project down to what the blueprints are now. So between having new grandbabies and other functions, other homes, we go visit and family out of town, so we go see the grandbaby. Just the timing of it just delayed everything. So all the city is waiting on today is the HVAC forms, and we're ready to go. So I can't roof half the roof because we're probably going to go with metal with the new room addition being put on, so we're waiting for that to get done so we can re-roof it all at one time. The cost would be double. We'd be ripping off brand new roof we put on just to meet that deadline. The truss company is 8 to 10 weeks out right now. If I ordered the trusses today, if I had the permit and got the engineer spec sheet to the truss company, 8 to 10 weeks. So we're looking maybe end of June, we could have it completed, roofed in. I've got concrete guys waiting on me, my electrician's waiting on me, everybody's waiting on me. My wife is waiting on me.
So to clarify, you're adding an addition, a partial addition on top of the house?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes, the city has all that stuff.
Okay, so now I can understand.
Shelby's
why
been
the
working
roof
with
would
us
be
on
delayed.
that. She's gone above and beyond, so.
Okay.
It's just that if the trust company can hurry up and we get the permit quicker, then we could get it done by, I think you said the end of
May.
It's impossible. Maybe end of June.
Man,
There's
I
6
don't
trust
know.
companies
Yeah,
out
pretty
and working with. One might be able to have them in 4 weeks to 6 weeks, but
Yeah, I've got a question. Inspector Brown, are you familiar with all of the things that he's going through to get the process going? Are you aware of that? You know it's actually happening? Are you comfortable?
I'm very well aware of it.
yeah.
Mr.
We're gonna have her
Schultz.
over for a cookout real quick.
That's
how
above
well.
and beyond, but at any rate, they submitted an application for
Okay, you
building
know
permit
that.
February. However, it was an incomplete submittal, and the building department would love to issue a permit. If they can get a permit issued, then we can work with them. But if the submittal's incomplete
I get
and
you.
staff's waiting on things from the property owners, people get permits, we issue about 1,000 a month, so they're able to do it. We just get the stuff in and get it issued, we can work with them on time.
Okay, thank you.
So we're just down to the HVAC calculation.
What's the matter with
That's-
inviting the
Everything
board?
else is in.
What's the matter with inviting the board to the cookout?
I'm sorry?
What's the matter with inviting the board to the cookout?
Conflict,
Only kidding.
conflict of interest, I think it's called.
Yeah.
Only kidding.
I have a comment, a couple of questions. I sympathize with you on UPC. I work in that world.
Oh, did- okay.
It hit a lot of people hard.
Yeah, they dragged this out for more than a year, so
Yeah, understood.
we got an
Understood.
attorney on it right now. Harmon and Wells is handling it. So. It's a
Gotcha.
FISA case, so we'll see where it goes from there.
Well, good luck with that.
I know.
Exactly.
Hope it goes.
Yeah, they dragged this out, and that's part of this. This is probably a year and a half drag out.
Yeah,
You know, I mean, in fact, the attorney said, don't pay for the roof and get it right now because they're less likely to push for it if you do that.
understood.
I
Yeah,
don't know if it's good advice, bad advice, but here we are in year 2, 2.5, and it's gotten worse. My wife's the vice president of a mortgage bank. She is not happy.
understood.
She's not here.
Any other questions?
I do have a couple of questions for the inspector.
For the inspector? Okay.
Yeah, for Ms. Brown.
Ms. Brown.
Keep going back and forth here a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, it's my understanding that once they get the building permit, then that satisfies the major concern. They're not out of the woods until they do the work.
Correct.
But that's
It's a time buyer.
goes, right.
But it will, but if we could see an active permit issued, then that would satisfy that there is progress being made. And then it becomes a building department issue,
Right,
right? Because then they have to keep working with that. So that's all we've ever really been after is for it to hold. And if Mr. Jackson can work towards getting a permit issued, even though the permit's not specifically for the roof, it's for the remodel of the house,
Right.
that would give us some discretion. Okay, does that help?
Yeah.
So how close are you to the permit for the completion of the blueprints?
Oh, they're done. The city's had them for 2 months now.
Are you-
I didn't have all my forms filled in.
Okay, so
My dad was
who's
a
waiting on
builder,
who
so I
at
grew
this
up
point?
working
You're
with
just
them
waiting
without
on the
the
building
rubber,
to approve it?
Huh?
You're just
it's-
waiting for the building department to approve it? Is
Yeah,
that what
they're
you're
waiting on
saying?
me for my HVAC calculation form.
Okay.
Is that the energy calcs? Energy
Yeah,
calculations? Yeah.
that's what-
Okay.
So do we
get
have a
that.
timeline on that or no?
I've called my AC guys, they're just so slammed right now. I mean, I could try to do it myself, I'm not real sharp with that stuff. But my dad's 85, he's retired. My sister still works for Arthur Rutherford after 44
So
years.
is your dad filing the permits or you?
No,
filing
he
them?
was the contractor, he worked with
Oh,
Arthur Rutherford
okay.
forever. So
Okay.
I call my sister, try to expedite it, but they're literally on my desk, I'm printing them out myself to try to speed this up.
Okay.
So I'll call my AC guy when I walk out of here again and say, hey, when the city needs these. That's the only thing holding us up right now.
Okay.
Everything else is submitted.
Want to check in?
How much time are we looking for?
Well, it does, if we have it on the 27th, if he's moving, then we can just,
Yeah,
so let's just leave it to 27th and make sure there's
We
that.
just need the
Far as
permit
push.
then. Okay. I'm
So do
fine
we
with
have
that.
a motion, or do we have?
Yeah,
Yeah.
move to order and, move to enter an order requiring the respondent to correct the violations on or before May 27, 2024. If the respondent does not comply by that date, the board may order a fine of $150
No, okay, sorry.
per day, per violation for each day, and each violation continues to exist if fines and fees remain unpaid. 3 months after such lien is filed, the city is authorized to foreclose, collect, or settle such lien. That's, I'm right? No problem there? Okay.
Yeah, I
Sorry.
second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And so
Aye.
This is just for the permit, right? Like
Right.
you have to have the
Exactly.
permit filed
Right.
by
Right.
May 27th and
And
then.
everything will be good.
Okay.
How quick does a
Okay.
permitting department work, does anybody know? Once they have my last
You
one.
know what, Mark,
Everyone
I'm gonna
seems
say
to have
from
a different
everybody here. I
Because
talked to the
everybody's
building
here.
department yesterday, and I said, how long would it take in a perfect world to get a permit to remodel your home? And they said they could move that through in probably 4 to 5 days, as long as everybody
Then we're
submits
good.
everything
Yeah,
they need to
yeah,
submit.
it's on me, the last.
Okay,
Good.
good. So, yeah,
Good.
if we could get that
Okay.
permit issued, then we'd be able to work with that, and I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So you've got, so it gives you to the 27th of May to get the permit in. If not, then that's when the fine starts again. There's no fine until
Yeah,
that starts,
no,
so
it'll be a couple days.
it'll just go away if you get that all done.
In fact, Vicki was pushing it through, Monday.
Well, thank you very much for your time.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Case number 3624, Montebello LLC, 604 North Fort Harrison Avenue. You're in violation of code for fences and walls, exterior surfaces, and roof maintenance. Anybody here to speak on that? Yeah, please come forward. Were you sworn in?
Yes.
Okay. If you wouldn't mind stating your name and address, thank you.
Rafael Rodriguez, 604 North Fort Harrison Avenue.
I'm
Okay.
sorry, could you repeat your name for me again?
Rafael Rodriguez.
Thank you.
Do you admit or deny the violation?
Admit it.
You admit it?
Mhm.
Okay, thank you very much, and we're going to hear from that, and then we'll have you back up to follow.
I move to find the respondent in violation of the code as referred to in the affidavit in this case.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks.
Good afternoon, Board.
Good afternoon.
Dan Kasman, City of Clearwater Code Enforcement Inspector, for case number 36-24 for 604 North Fort Harrison Avenue. We received 3 violations here for Code Section 3-1502B for exterior services, Code Section 3-808, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 for fence maintenance, and Code Section 3-1502B1, D3, and D5 for roof maintenance. These are the dates the notice of violation were sent out with compliance dates. We post the affidavit of posting at the property, and then the notice of hearing for today's hearing. So this is 604 North Fort Harrison Avenue. I saw the property in my travels. I was having some issues with lot clearing along the street last year. There were a lot of overgrown properties. I have been in contact with the owner for some time about this property. You can see some of the photos of some issues with the exterior with chipped and peeling paint, some mildew, some growth, there's some damage in the back. As you'll see in later photos, there's leaving a little bit more damage. This was back in October. This is where it was overgrown, and I was seeing there were some issues with the fence back there getting pulled over by all the vines. It's a little bit more difficult to see in these photos, but you'll see it more clearly in further photos. So this is in January. As you see, there's some damage there to the roof fashion soffits. I mean, property could probably use a new roof. As I spoke to the owner, he said he was looking to do some sort of remodeling work there, but nothing had been put forth yet. This was the cleaned up fence falling over in the back, a little bit dingy, a little bit banged up. This is another major issue in the property, is at the rear, there's a lot of damage to the exterior and the roof kind of caved in over there. And on the side, there's some minor exterior defects. This is the day of the affidavit of posting, January. You see some other things are starting to peel off from the front porch there. There's some chip peeling paint. In a sense, the whole property needs to be, needs a facelift. This is in February, same issues. I explained to the owner that if these weren't rectified, it would be going to code board. Assured me he's still looking into some remodel of the property, but same issues are persisting. That's the fence, and again, falling over. This is the notice of hearing for today's hearing. Property is still in the same condition as of that day. I'm chugging a little bit. Give it a second. All right.
Here we go.
And then this was from yesterday. So, same issues with the exterior. In the back as well, and in the fence. So, compliance to be met for the exterior surfaces by repairing all damage to the exterior, removal of all chipped and peeling paint, mildew, plants, and repainting of structure. Compliance to be met for fence maintenance by ensuring the fence is upright and in good repair, or by removing the fence. Compliance to be met for the roof maintenance by repairing any damage to the roof, fascia, and soffits. And for this property, I'm asking for compliance on or before April 27th, 2024, or a fine of $150 a day per violation for each day the violations continue to exist. Any questions?
Any questions for them or the,
Just mayor.
You need to let the homeowner
yeah,
speak.
should we come back up, please? So you see the violations. Is there a plan to get these
Yes,
rectified?
I'm just requesting for additional 30 more days to bring everything up to code. I got several quotes for the roof, same at the paint, and we're ready to move forward. We were waiting for secure the construction loan. We're finalizing that process, but up to this point, we're just gonna go ahead and start doing all the repairs.
Okay. Well, the
I'm just requesting for additional 30 more days.
additional 30, because right now, he's giving you 30 days as it is right
Yes,
now.
I'm requesting another 30 more days on top of those.
Okay. Board?
So you have a general contractor or individual contractors? that are
The
doing this?
individual contractors. I'm a
I'm sorry?
individual contractors,
Okay,
yes,
for the roof?
for the roof and the painting,
Okay.
and the landscaper too, sorry.
Yeah, who's doing the exterior repairs? One of those contractors going
Yes.
to repair the wood and stuff too?
Yeah, I requested several estimates from different roof companies, same thing as the painters. So I received all the quotes, so we're ready, to move forward and have them do all the repairs, pull out the right permits and everything.
All right, have any of the contractors started a permit application?
Nah,
Okay,
because I was waiting for securing the construction loan, but that's taking a little bit too long because we were planning to do a major renovation to the whole house, and it wasn't no reason why to repair at this moment. I purchased the property about a year ago, so no one lives in the house, and we're planning to do a big addition to the house. But up to this point, it seems fair to bring it up to code.
Any thoughts?
Thoughts, questions on that?
yeah, what do you think about getting an update at our next meeting to see where it's at?
Yeah, do an update next week and move it to the 27th then.
And, I'm sorry?
And then compliance by the 27th? Or, I'm sorry, May.
Yeah.
So an update next month and then
Yeah.
compliance by May.
Yeah, I like that, so we can see that it's moving.
Yeah,
Okay, somebody know how to make that motion?
You will.
and just get an update from the code inspector.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to come in, right?
I don't
Well,
know,
he
I'd
would have
like
to
I would
show
like
the
I would like
plans
to
and,
hear a progress
Well,
report
okay.
from the owner.
Yeah.
I make a motion to request an update from the property owner at our next meeting of April 24th, I believe it is. And
compliance met by
Compliance met by May
27th.
27th, 2024?
And if then, could be a fine.
I'm sorry?
Then you want to put the fine into it.
Then you need to finish.
All right. All right, let me start this over. I move to enter an order requiring the respondent to correct the violations on or before May 27th, 2024. Also require the respondent to update us at our next meeting of April 24th, 2024. If the respondent does not comply by that date, the board may order a fine of $150 per day per violation for each day each violation continues to exist. If fines and fees remain unpaid 3 months after such lien is filed, the city is authorized to foreclose, collect, or settle such lien.
We have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So we're going to look to hear from you next month.
All right.
Of your progress, and then we're going to give you another month to actually get it taken care of.
Okay.
So,
Thank you so
for your
much.
time.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Case number 3724, fine respondents Nancy O'Neill at 1360 Druid Road in violation of code for parking and issue an order of compliance and deadline on the fine. If compliant is not met. It's 2-pager. Is there anybody here to speak on this? Please come forward. Were you here to be sworn in?
Good afternoon.
Were you sworn in earlier?
I was.
Okay. State your name and address, please.
Nancy O'Neill, 1360 Druid Road, Clearwater, Florida, 33756.
Do you admit the
I do.
violation?
I do. I just would like to speak to the board about it.
Okay.
Okay.
So we're going to have you
Yep.
come back. Yeah, you
I
got
move
it.
to
Thank
find
you.
the respondent in violation of the code as referred to in the affidavit in this case.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Dave Jensen, Code Enforcement Inspector with the City of Clearwater. This is 1360 Druid, case number 37-24. These are the dates for the notice of violation, compliance, and the return sign postage. It's going to be one violation for prohibited parking and grass parking. What we're here for today is this vote. There were some other grass parking violations to begin with, however, those have been corrected. Upon the correction of those, I did mail a letter to Ms. O'Neill about appreciating the fact they were corrected. However, this boat was still on the property and either needed to be removed from the property or parked in compliance with our ordinance in the rear yard behind the fence. Dates on these, here's the 19th of January. One thing to note, this is a rental house owned by someone that lives outside the city, and the boat is actually about halfway on that property. I spoke to that property owner at one point. He did not know that the boat was partially on his property and stated he had not given anybody permission for the boat to be parked partially on his property. This is the west side of the property, and this is the Ms. O'Neill's residence here with the boat on partially on her property. Again, on the 1st of February, you see the boat here on the 6th of this month. And again, from the front of it on the 6th of this month, went by this morning, the boat hasn't moved at all, it's still there. So compliance will be met for the grass parking by removing the boat from the grass area parking where allowed by ordinance or no longer parking vehicles on or in the prohibited areas per ordinance. Requesting compliance within 5 days of the board rendering its order and fine $150 per day for each day the violation exists if it's not correct.
You would come back up, please.
Sorry about the sunglasses. I have a tremendous headache. I'm just getting over.
So do I now. No, just kidding.
So,
What's your plan?
I have never met Mr. Jansen. I came into Mr. Jansen's radar because of several of the pictures you've seen. My understanding is that I am in violation of the BMW being parked on the grass. And what had happened in that instance, I have two cars, as you can see, the BMW and a Mercedes that I'm restoring. And I pulled the BMW up to my hose bib to wash the car, and then the car wouldn't start. and it was set on the grass by my own admission for several weeks. And I finally got my mechanic over there, he got it going, and I got it out of there. And I got a letter from Mr. Jansen thanking me for swift compliance, but it had a however. And the however was the boat. And so I called David Albert, who's a friend of mine, and I was talking to David about what I could do to come into compliance, as he's a builder. And he told me to just come down and take it on the chin and find out what it was that I had to do to make you guys happy. And here I am to do so. It's interesting that the neighbor didn't know that the boat was parked there, because his handyman is always parked illegally on my grass. And I'm very good friends with the girl that is renting the house. And obviously that's who I spoke to when the boat came back to the house. The boat goes up to Homosassa for the summer. And when it came back, you know, I asked permission before obviously I'm not crazy, I asked permission before I put it back up inside the house, because the girl had just moved in. And like I said, I mean, I'm familiar with the code. I was on the abatement board for many years, you know, and I'm trying to come into compliance. And, you know, like I said, I'm trying to see what I could do here to make everybody happy. So apparently the grass parking has stopped. And it's interesting because one of the pictures is my niece, who recently moved into me, and obviously she can't park, but she was diagonally on the grass instead of parallel to the grass. But she's moved on, she's got her own apartment, and that car is no longer there. So that's another issue that's been taken care of. Now I guess we're down to the boat.
Is there a way to put the boat further back or more on your property and shield it?
Well,
Can Mr.
it's
Jensen
funny,
I was
it's
just gonna
funny.
say,
Mr.
Mr.
Jensen.
Jensen can explain what you
He'll
need to do.
give you all the
prior to-
details on what to do with the boat.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. What I was going to ask you is, would it be permissible to put a fence from the end of my house to the beginning of my neighbor's, if we could bring a picture up?
Ask that
No.
gentleman that's right behind you. and
Answer to
he-
that.
Well, we don't, Mr. Jensen and I have never had a conversation. We played phone tag for many months.
Okay,
but I've
well,
never
Miss
spoken
O'Neill,
to him.
Mr. Jensen, Mr. Jensen, Miss O'Neill.
Mr. Jensen,
Let's,
nice to meet you. I said the only time I've met him was I
Yeah.
stopped by a clean out that he was doing.
Yeah.
And that's how I got on Mr.
Can I,
Jensen's
can I
radar.
ask you a question? To move this along, we can just go through this process and say that if you don't come into compliance in a month from now, then you're going to get fined.
Right?
Can you resolve that issue with Mr. Jensen in a month?
I believe so. Like I
Okay.
said, I just gotta
So-
find out what's, you know, what I
We'll
can
just
do
go
that's
through
within-
the formal stuff that we have. You talk to Mr. Jensen and make him happy, and even though we set this fine starting in a month, if everything's fine with us,
Well,
everything's fine
Mr.
with you.
Jensen can come up and say how the compliance can be met, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
why
but
don't
when
you
you're
come up,
asking
Mr.
for,
Jensen?
but when
Yeah.
you're asking for the fence and everything, we can't give you advice on what permits are gonna be required. We can't give you that advice, unfortunately.
I just thought it'd be
So
easier to do it privately instead of taking up our
let's-
time.
she needs to be clear
You
on
guys,
what's.
and she can listen into the whole thing, but as far as the fence and everything else, that is outside our purview. That would be up to our building
Right.
department, permitting department, what they would not allow there.
Right.
The code is, again, when it was mailed out, if you have any questions, by all means, let me know, and we'll go over it. But the code is clear about where a boat can and cannot be, and what grass parking is not allowed, and that sort of thing, so.
And are we in agreement that the grass parking has been
Well, again,
resolved?
the grass parking part, the only thing, as I stated, is the grass parking is the boat violation now. Because the boat is parked on the grass. There are a couple things there, and instead of just piling on, a boat being parked and the grass parking, it all comes down to the fact it's parked where it cannot be. So, instead of piling on a bunch of different things, let's just look at the one chart and move it forward from there.
Yeah.
So, again, the way it sits right now, there's an entire month to get this taken, or, I'm sorry, 5 days from the date of the board rendering its order, but if we're communicating, things are moving forward, we can work with you on that, so, that's where we're at from our end of it. As far as the fence and everything else, that's completely out of our hands.
I understand that, okay.
So can we give till the
Do
30
it if you want,
days?
yeah.
You should be able to get that resolved within 30 days, correct?
I would think.
I would think.
Good.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
So who wants to do the?
Be my guest.
What?
Second motion.
I move to enter an order requiring the respondent to correct violations on or before April 24th. If the respondent does not comply by that date, the board may order a fine of $150 per day per violation for each day violation continues to exist. If fines and fees remain unpaid 3 months after such lien is filed, the city is authorized to foreclose, collect, or settle such lien.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Nancy, you understand that? It's
I
basically
I hear
30
what you
days.
said. I'm still trying to get the answers. I guess I gotta go to the motion part.
No, you'll get with Jen.
Okay.
And he'll work with through you.
Mr. Farr, just
Hello?
for the agenda, next round under old business, if we could hear item 5.4 before the rest of them, there's been a request.
Okay.
Oh, 5.4 at the top?
Yes.
So,
Somebody
just
tell
jump to it?
Mr. Caston.
Well, we could do the affidavits of compliance.
Yeah.
All right, we'll do the affidavits of compliance real quick. So, accept the affidavits as compliance is listed, 5.1.1, 5.1.2, 5.1.3, 5.1.4. Do we have a motion to accept?
5.5, what did we just talk about,
5.4.
5.2?
No, 5.4.
Oh, but 2 has been continued to April 24th.
No,
No, no.
These are under 5.1.
All part of 5.1.
Gotcha, okay.
All part of
Excuse me,
5.1.
Excuse me.
Do we have a,
Almost.
What are we doing?
there's a thing you say.
Come on.
I move to accept the affidavits of compliance as listed.
Second?
A
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Mr. Kasman. Accept the affidavits of noncompliance for respondents Gilbert Janelli at 540 Jones Street for exterior surfaces, door and window openings, and roof maintenance. Is there anybody here to speak on that? If you would please come forward.
He wasn't sworn in, I don't think.
Were you sworn in at the time earlier? You were?
Oh, excuse me.
You would please state your name and address for the record?
Sure, Gilbert Janelli, 909 South Fort Harrison Avenue. Sorry I'm a little slow, I had some surgery yesterday and I got to go back to the doctor, that's why they're pushing me ahead.
We're glad you're here. even
Yeah,
though
thank
you're
you.
not feeling good.
This property, the buyer of the property has been back and forth on whether they wanted to demo the building or fix it, and they have decided to start repairing the building. So we're in the process of getting some bids to fix the compliance issues. Those bids should be ready by the week's end or first of the week, and then we'll start fixing the building to come into compliance.
Okay.
Can we hear from Mr. Hasman then?
We hear Mr. Kasman then, so to see what we have here to, I'll call you right back up.
Good afternoon, Board. Dan Casden, Code Enforcement Inspector for the City of Clearwater. This was heard at an earlier meeting, I believe it was back in December, wherever you remember. I think I'm just going to go through a few of the photos, but I'll just remind you, this was 540 Jones Street. It sits on it's on the corner of Jones and Garden over there in our downtown area. It's kind of a beat-up warehouse. I was in contact with Dr. Janelli back in June of last year about what his designs were for the property, and he told me that he was having it sold. I explained, he told me it was sold at several points, but the buyer, there were some difficulties every single time the sale was just about to go through. And the last conversation we had was about, well, if it's getting sold in January, either fix it or don't fix it, and at that point, I'll go further down here. Some repairs were made, but they weren't exactly up to a workmanlike manner, in my personal opinion. I'll make some of these larger. I went out to the property with Dr. Janelli, and we walked around the building and explained, still chipped and peeling paint, there's still damage. He did some repairs, but they just weren't up to snuff, so to speak. And they explained that the affidavit of noncompliance would be heard at this meeting, and if it wasn't fixed by then, it would result in fines. So I'll just go through a few of these. So it looks like the PowerPoint is a little bit up. That's one of the doors in the front. So this was back in December. If the PowerPoint isn't going to agree with me, I think I'm going to probably just jump ahead to the March photos. So this was on the rear, or rather the north side of the property. So this was back in January, after we had spoken about some of the issues. Like you've seen, there is some paint and work that has been done, and some stucco work that's been done, and some work on the overhang, but like I said, my personal opinion, the building's still not exactly up to code. And I explained to him at the time that this would require some real extensive permits and actual repairs to restore this building to work in order, or why not just demolish it? But at the time, he had assured me that the prospective buyer was still looking into purchasing the property. But I explained to him again, as long as it remains it's your property, you're going to be the one suffering the consequences from it being in disrepair.
Would you really call those repairs or just kind of cover-up?
Well, like I said, in my personal opinion, I wouldn't consider them to be
Yeah, it doesn't look
up
like
to code.
It doesn't look like repairs to me.
So this was some wood that had been replaced, but it looks like there's water intrusion, and the wood that got replaced is just rotting again.
Yep.
So
Going down real fast. And where did you say this was located again? Excuse me.
540 Jones Street, on the corner of Jones and Garden. It's kind of right close to downtown, just like one street over from Drew.
Okay, I know it, yeah, thank you.
So here's the photos from March. I'm trying to give you guys at least a more expansive look. This is from Jones Street side. I mean, the paint is still chipped and peeling. It's failing in places. The wood is rotting underneath the overhang. This is on the front. This door still hasn't been taken care of. There's expansion foam and just old caulk falling off from the side of the building. This is from the wall next to the field. Some of the paint is already starting to chip and peel off. It's harder to see because of the sun glare, but there's some damage underneath the overhangs. This is on the north side of the property, on the back. I mean, it was painted, but there's still a fair amount of chip and peeling paint. There's a hole in the garage door. That overhang up there is still damaged. Like I said, these were kind of holdover repairs and not exactly substantial repairs. And then this is from the Garden Street side. And then again, like a lot of the damage to the trim, it was just kind of painted over and put some expansion foam in. So for compliance, the for the exterior was for repair all the damaged exterior, remove all chip and peeling paint, mildew plants, and repainting of structure. Compliance for the doors and windows by repairing all the door and window openings, including any damaged trim and framing. And compliance met for the roof by repairing any damage to any of the roof or the overhang. So as it stands today, I don't think the property is in proper repair. I've been told time and time again it's getting sold, but the sale date has been pushed back several times, and I don't have any evidence of a buyer.
When did this case first start?
The first time I officially sent out notice after speaking with Dr. Gianelli was in October. But
Okay.
we've been in talks about the building in June. In light of repairs that were made in other properties in the area along Fort Harrison, I was given the benefit of the doubt that this would be repaired or sold at a certain point, but it continues to stay in its hand and the property's not fully repaired yet.
Okay, and when did it first come before us, do you know?
That was back in December, I believe. It was a
Okay.
compliance date in January. At that time, he had told me that the buyer was going to have it in their hands by the end of January, but that just still hasn't happened. And as far as I can see, there's no permits pulled for anything.
Okay.
Any substantial repairs would require a permit at this
Right.
point. So.
Okay.
Questions for Mr. Gianelli?
I'd like to find out what's
Please
occurring and
come
what the
back
plan is.
Forward, please. Again, thank you for being here.
Yeah, well, I'm aware that the building needs some work, but we were starting to work, and then the buyer wanted to demo the building, and it doesn't make a lot of sense to spend thousands of dollars when they were going to demo it. They decided now not to do it. That's recently. They want to fix the building, so we're going to move forward. That's been the delay. Unfortunately, the property hasn't closed yet.
Do you have a contract for purchase?
We have a date set. That date has been pushed back. You know, we have a problem with the Gotham project in downtown Clearwater. There's a lot of reasons, a lot of projects were put on hold and now moving forward. So we hope to finish that contract quickly.
But for this, you have a contract for purchase.
Correct.
What is the estimated closing date now per contract?
On or before July 5th.
And what are the contingencies that are waiting on that?
There's no contingencies.
It's a long closing for no contingencies.
Commercial usually takes a lot
Yeah.
longer.
Board?
They do have an option. They do have an option
Go ahead.
to continue with the contract as well, so it's.
July 5th is a long time. This has been going on a while. I would almost, I understand that you've been making efforts to try and get this thing sold.
Yeah, we're going to start working on the building, so it's not, we're not going to ignore it until July or further out.
Yeah. The problem,
Those are-
the problem for us now, though, is that the compliance date's already passed.
I understand.
So now we got to figure all of this together and see what's the game plan.
My thought would be to do the affidavit of noncompliance because of the amount of time this has gone on. And then if if the purchase actually goes through and the new buyer wants to request a lien reduction, well, that's up to them. But we've seen that perhaps some effort toward pushing for the repairs on the building is not out of order.
Yeah, we'll show good faith in that, and that will make it a little bit easier for them to come in and ask for a reduction in fines. So we understand the process.
Okay.
I move to accept the affidavit of noncompliance and issue an order that imposes fines and states fines and fees that if fines and fees remain unpaid for 3 months after such lien is filed, the city is authorized to foreclose, collect, or settle such lien.
And second. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Just one other thing, Mr. Schultz, you remember Mrs. Boykins from last meeting?
Yes.
We have contacted her, very nice lady, got all her faculties at 98. I only wish all of us had our faculties like that, if we get to that age.
Amen.
She's decided to sell the property, and they're in the process of,
I had forgotten that you had done that.
right.
Thank you so much for that.
I did, and so they're very nice people, been here for a long time. She was actually born in the city of Clearwater. Hard to meet those people anymore.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And so she's, her and her family are in the process of selling the property, so.
Thank you so much for that.
You bet.
Thank you,
Appreciate
and
it.
we look forward to this property being
Thank
taken
you.
care of.
Good luck to you, sir.
Case number 14423, accept the affidavits of noncompliance for respondent Joan Klein at 2387 Nash Street for abandoned building. Anybody here to speak on that?
No?
No?
All right, well, I move to accept the affidavit of noncompliance and issue an order that imposes fines and states if fines and fees remain unpaid 3 months after such lien is filed, the city is authorized to foreclose, collect, or settle such lien.
Do you have a second?
Second.
I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
And Nicole, 5.2 was continued, right? That was, okay, so. Other board action, case number 17-02 and 98-19, consider request by petitioner Zachary Sorrento at 1000 Grantwood Avenue to reduce the fines, new fences, exterior storage, and window openings and window maintenance. And I think we all have this to look at if you want to reference it. Is there anybody here to speak on that?
Yes, sir.
Yes, please come forward. Were you sworn in earlier?
I believe so.
Okay. Good. If you would state your name and address for the record.
Yeah, Zachary Sorrentino, 1000 Grantwood Ave.
Perfect, thank you. you would like to have us reduce the lien,
Yes, sir.
and the reason for that?
I purchased the property. I was unaware of them. We knew the home was distressed and not in compliance at the time of buying it. We let the tenant stay in the property for 30 days after we purchased it, and then we got right to work to getting the whole property into compliance. I've been in contact with Rebecca, Nicole, and Sarah, and spoke with Shelby as well as she was driving by and made sure to be timely and in compliance with everything that they needed fixed. And now we are under contract to sell the property to a veteran who is pregnant and ready to move into the property.
Okay. And you're asking it to be reduced to an amount that we decide, right?
Correct.
Wait, when did you purchase this?
November 30th of last
And
year.
all that work has been done already?
Correct.
Wow.
Yes.
I'm very familiar with this property. The
Everyone is.
name, the people across the street, I've
Yeah.
been friends with my whole life, and they actually wanted to buy the property.
Oh, really?
But the owner, it was a long story.
Yep.
Between the owner passing away, then the daughter and anyways.
I'm not a realtor, but wouldn't you be informed of this before you purchase it?
Yeah, so there was some challenges with that. We had a title and lien search ran by a title company.
Okay.
There was no active code violations that showed up on the lien search, and so our title company did issue me title insurance for the property. But because they were open, I was, I guess, sold with all the violations open, because for them to be cleared, they have to all be in compliance. And so the
Yeah.
previous seller didn't have the funds or time or whatever that case was to do them, and so that's when I purchased it, essentially with all the open violations on the
And
property.
the property is back in compliance and being sold now, so
Yes,
that's
sir.
that's the best thing.
Am I correct, is that 966,000?
Yes.
Yes, you are correct.
Where do you see that?
You don't
It's
have
been-
that in cash?
I don't.
Okay.
That's worth about
Oh, it's
triple what
not
the
on
house
mine.
is selling for, actually.
Yeah.
The
A different copy or something.
administrative costs combined are $2,972.40.
Can you say that again? I'm sorry.
$2,972.40.
Okay, thank you.
It's better than 999 or 996.
Yeah.
Okay? Gordon?
Either that amount or 3,000?
Yep,
That amount of
Yep.
3,000?
Make it even.
yeah.
Is there a formal verbiage?
Nicole?
Do we have formal verbiage for this to approve that or no? To approve a reduction?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's page 5.
sorry.
I don't have that book.
I've got it.
Chairman, I'll do it. I move to enter an order reducing the amount of the lien to administration costs of
Of 3,000.
2,907. I'm sorry, what?
You have somebody from the public that wants to speak on this.
Oh, you want to speak on this property? Okay.
Okay,
Please come forward.
We agreed to 3,000.
we did?
Yeah.
And I believe you were sworn in. I remember you being here.
Yes.
Name and address, please, for the record.
My name is Bill Johnson. I live at 2694 Redford Court West in Clearwater. This has been a problem property that I have been following for about the last 3 years.
Yeah, it's been a while.
The original order by this board was on July 24th, 2019. So it was 1,589 days prior to when you purchased the property. And in my observation, not much was happening during that time. And so I'm trying to ask the board how you can assign accountability for that period of time when nothing was happening. I understand the gentleman just purchased the property subject to the liens, and clearly I went by this morning. The place looks great. It's better than the surrounding properties, so there's no question that things were fixed. But the challenge to me is, and understanding how the board works, is to how do you hold somebody accountable if they just ignore it and then push it off to somebody else that buys it. And normally, I would think that because a lien was recorded, the person that's buying it would buy it at a considerable discount to take care of that problem and
I
what the
do actually
previous
have some
owner had.
answers
Yeah,
for
I'd
you
like
if
to
you'd
speak
like.
to it as well.
Because from what I know about this property, knowing the family that's close with them that lives across the street, the owner of the property passed away. Now, I'm not excusing the timeline. Of course, we could say COVID and everything else, but the owner of the property passed away. And so then it went into probate. And then it went to, which means it has to go to the heirs, and the heirs have to sign off. Well, the daughter inherited it. She was not well herself, and then subsequently her daughter was not well and subsequently passed away from cancer. So I'm not saying that everything was as smooth as it should have been, but I know the probate process itself can be very timely. There was just a series of events, unfortunately, with this family, so I agree with you. It should have been obviously handled quicker. And I personally don't remember this one coming before me while I was here, so because I am familiar with the property very much so. On top of that, in selling it, you can correct me, but maybe you got it in an auction?
No, I did not.
You did not? So you paid full value for the property?
Paid for the property. It was in foreclosure.
Yes, it was in
We satisfied
foreclosure.
that mortgage and then we purchased
Yes.
it. Yeah.
So when we have a property that, you're familiar with the area, so we have a property that has quite a $100,000, just a ridiculous amount of fines, who's going to be able to absorb that in a neighborhood that those prices aren't even comparable? It's just not even comparable. So I'm thankful that he purchased the property and updated it, and finally it's resolved, for sure. I know all the neighbors are thrilled, so thank you for doing that.
If I can, I'm sorry?
I would say thank you.
Oh.
Sorry.
If I could offer something toward the accountability issue, it would seem to me that in terms of looking for accountability, the onus of the responsibility for how long this thing went unhandled would be on the person that left it for that duration unhandled. I understand, and I'm not faulting anybody. I understand her circumstances with the family situations and everything, so it's awful hard to be critical of that, but I understand it. And I think the point I'm trying to make is I think that's clearly where that responsibility would lie. I think it's laudable for you to purchase the property and put the work into it and clean it up. It benefits the city, it benefits the neighborhood, and I think that has a value. And I think it is somewhat improper to hold you responsible for the accumulation of all of those liens. And so in addressing the accountability issue, I understand that somebody should be held accountable, but I don't think this gentleman created the problem, and therefore I don't personally feel like he should be held accountable for those issues. The fact that he's going to have to pay a $3,000 fine. The other thing is he didn't have the benefit of that data when he purchased the property. That the title company maybe should have caught that and didn't. So again, it wasn't his irresponsibility that omitted that data. So from that perspective, I think that a fine, an assessment of the administrative costs is in order.
Yeah, I agree.
Do we have a motion?
Is there more that you wanted to add before we finalize?
I have no objection
Okay.
to that action.
Okay.
I do have objection to the fact that the property sat for 3 years.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Can understand.
there was, even going through probate, the probate process should have taken care of the property. So
It should, but that's another hour-long discussion on the probate process.
As you provide guidance to the staff moving
Yeah,
forward.
for sure.
And it looks great.
Thanks. Appreciate it. We appreciate your
Thank
time
you.
watching things for us. Thank you.
Let me make the motion again. I move to enter an order reducing the amount of the lien to administration costs of $3,000 payable within 30 days, or the lien will revert to its original amount.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. If I pay it today, will I get any form of paperwork or anything to be able to handle with my title company to push closing ahead quicker, or do I have to wait for?
So what I need to do is create the order for signature of the chair.
Yes, ma'am.
It'll be early next week before I have that done and signed.
on or before the 3rd. Like I mentioned, the VA, the veteran who was buying it, she wanted to close on the 18th and the 22nd. Her lender, her rate lock-in expired yesterday, so I'm covering the extra $1,000 to extend it.
Oh, wow.
So, perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you for doing that for the VA.
You're welcome. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for
Thank
cleaning
you.
the property up
Thank
too.
you.
I'm very impressed with your answer to that, man.
Oh,
It was nice.
background
Very good
info.
job.
Right.
And like give your receipt if you want to come into the office
Yeah.
or
Yeah,
give me a call.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Case number 12-19, consider the request by petitioner Kevin Kincaid at 151 Devon Drive to reduce the fine regarding permits, and if approved, the order specifies administrative costs. And I think we have a copy of this one as well.
This
Yes,
one
we do.
I'm not
It's a
familiar
staple
with.
one. Anybody here to speak on that? Thank you. Please come forward as well.
Good afternoon, Board. I'm Dana Root. I'm the Assistant Building Official for the City of Clearwater, and I just wanted to give you a little bit of background for this stop work order case. The address is 151 Devon Drive. And the work that was done is a block wall or fence, if you want to call it, concrete steps, which are to the right in that picture, and a raised concrete slab. Stop work order case was created June 6th of 2017. The permit was applied for May 31st of 2018. Board found the property in violation, or found the property owner in violation January 23rd, 2019. Compliance date was set for March 22nd, 2019. Compliance was not met. Permit was issued May 28th, 2019. Affidavit of noncompliance was accepted by the board June 26th, 2019. And compliance was met February 5th of this year. And to show you what it looked like before, what it looked like before was right here. That's where the step is. And it did have a wall, a shorter wall. This is the shorter wall. That's just another photo. Because of the length of time that this took, the city is not going to support a reduction in the fines. And I believe the owner is here.
Question, was it
Yes.
the same owner throughout?
Yes,
Okay.
right, it did not change ownership, correct?
You were sworn in, correct?
Yes,
Thank you.
yes, sir.
State your name and address, please.
Kevin Kincaid, 151 Devon Drive, Clearwater.
Thank you.
The ownership was held between three siblings. The property is held in an LLC, and two of the, my sister passed. So I don't know if that answers the question of if ownership changed. So that's part of it.
Okay. And you're asking for a reduction and lien down to the administration fees, and the current lien amount is $541, is that correct?
Yeah.
$541,200. Board?
Yeah, I mean, this is a lot to digest on this one just because of all of the dates. This started back in 2017, and I was trying to note down all of your dates as you were reading them off, but there's a lot of them. So, did you say that in 2018 an initial permit was filed, like 5/3/18?
Permit was applied for May 31st, 2018.
Okay. Was a permit issued on that, or was it just the application?
That was the application. The permit was issued May 28th, 19.
So a full year, almost like full year later.
Correct.
Okay. And any data about why that was so long being issued? Were there data needed, or I mean, what was, any idea about why it was a year?
I believe the owner was trying to go through a flexible standard to get what would be a variance for the height of the wall.
Yeah.
I can make a few comments on that. First of all, I want to take ownership that we were doing several things on the home, and permits were applied for upgrading the electrical panel and different stuff of that nature. This portion of the project that we did without a permit. My bad, I made a mistake. We raised the elevation and we raised the height of the wall. It was a mistake that was made by me on that. We were originally told that we needed to bring the height of the wall down. That was what we were not in compliance with. We did so in relatively quick amount of time. I don't have the dates here in front of me, but it was done in, I'll say within 6 months. One other thing that I want to share with the board is that I do not live in Clearwater. I'm an out-of-state resident, and it was a bit challenging to get down here, and contractors and different stuff to get that handled. I thought we were in compliance when we lowered the wall, and I believe that was my communications with the city. I was talking with a gentleman by the name of Mr. Sam Swinton at the time, and then found out that we were no longer, after that was corrected, that there was a different code violation, which was the elevation of those steps that came up. So there was like two separate issues that we then were made note of that. All of this was taking a considerable amount of time to take place. I'm not trying to create a narrative or excuses. I don't know if I'm even giving reasons. I'm just kind of trying to explain myself to the board. Then we had COVID in there after this. So that kind of took us up to that point, and then we had COVID hit, and who can explain that? And then since then, okay, so it's been a minute since COVID took place, we have been attempting to get this rectified, and we had to remove the elevation 5 feet from the wall toward the house along that side, so we had to lower that. We have just become in compliance with that, so we had to get contractors. It also involved lowering the pool equipment, which was in that elevation. It's been quite the process. I realize that the board and the city has their job to do. I feel as though the city has been very respectful and making us come into compliance and talking with various different people about this and getting it done. So that's why I'm giving a reason why this has taken so long, and all the time at 150, and I think it's 2 violations per day, $300 a day. It added up to an astronomical number.
Where do you live?
I live about 1 hour northwest of Chicago, in a town called Lake in the Hills, Illinois.
Gotcha.
And my business partner, my sister, lives in the Nashville, Tennessee area, and another portion, which I'm not trying to create a sob story narrative here, but our other sibling, who was a partner on it, sadly passed during this time, and then there was her entire estate that we have, my sister and I have purchased out the estate of our other sister. All of this also, legality took time.
Gotcha.
Can I ask one question to simplify
Yes,
this
sir.
in my mind? We're talking about a step and a wall.
No, it was a wall and there was an elevation step, so there's 2
Yeah,
issues.
I wanna
a
ask
wall and
Kevin
an
that.
elevation step.
Yeah, I'd like to ask Kevin about that.
Good.
Were any family members living in the house, or was it like an investment property, or?
Well, our mother winters here. She's a snowbird, so that's it. And then the rest of the year, I mean, we come down periodically, but no, we don't reside here full time.
All right. I have a couple of questions for Kevin, if I may.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry. You can slap me later.
Yes.
Dana. So the violations consisted of the brick wall, the steps and the elevated concrete area, is that correct?
Correct. You got this wall here, this is the landing for the steps, these are the steps. And then back in here is a raised poured concrete slab that was in the setback.
Okay. All right. What kind of corrections have been made to that at this point?
They reduced the height of the wall. First they got a permit for everything. They reduced the height of the wall, and they cut back 5 feet from the property line that concrete slab.
Okay. You have any data about what communications occurred regarding the fact that there were ongoing fines and I'm assuming that in some form or fashion that was communicated to the owner in terms of the fact that it's in violation and it's getting fines. That I know it's not your department necessarily, but
I believe board order was sent to the property owner, as
Good.
with every case.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Lloyd?
May I add one more thing, please?
Sure.
During this process, I have come to, this is the third time I've stood before this board. So, I was trying to work with this and seek the board. I don't remember who was all on the board at the time. It's been a while that this has been going on. But I've stood here 2 different times trying to rectify this matter and work with the city on coming in compliance on this.
What are the admin fees, the totals?
$1,502.20.
1,502.
1,502.
No, I know, I just wanted to know what was the point of reference.
Yeah. It's kind of a heck of a judgment call, isn't it?
Yeah.
In that this thing went on for an excessively long time. I understand everything that the owner has offered.
Yeah,
but
but over $500,000 for a wall and some concrete, it just seems to me to be, I understand.
I wouldn't argue that.
Everything that's going on, but it just
Yeah.
seems.
Oh, I agree.
But the
I
pool
think there's some
equipment had to be
middle
moved
ground
too.
somewhere.
So that's a
I
lot.
just don't know what it is.
I'd just like to go down to administration fees, $1,502.20. I don't know, we have to punish the man for some mistakes.
Does the city have a position on this?
Yeah.
The staff sort of stated that they object to the reduction,
Okay.
to just defer to the board and that they, but based on the time that it's been going on and that's the city's position.
So with the wall with the height, at first they did get it resolved quickly.
Yeah.
Thought it was in compliance and didn't realize there was a second issue.
Second issue is, the only issue is money.
I have a number in mind that would be around 5,000.
5 what?
Well,
I could deal with that.
I'm sorry?
I could go with that.
I mean, it's a difficult,
Yeah.
from my perspective, it's a difficult call to make because, I understand the personal circumstances. It's common in these cases, but there is the burden is on the property owner to, to some degree, and.
Sure.
Okay,
Okay.
do we have a motion for this?
You wanted to make a motion?
Yep.
I'm moving to enter an order reducing the amount of the lien to administrative cost of $5,000 payable within 30 days, or the lien will revert to its original amount.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Cases 125-21 and 126-21, consider a request by petitioners North Myrtle Avenue Land Trust at 820 Hart Street and 407 and 409 South Myrtle Avenue to eliminate abatement liens. Is there someone here to speak on that? Have you been sworn in? Thank you.
Which case are you on?
6.3. And we're on the final batch.
All right, thank you.
How are you this afternoon? Can you state your name and address, please?
My name is Gideon Apapan with North Myrtle Avenue Land Trust.
Okay.
Sorry, did you say your name again?
Gideon Apapan.
Could you spell that for me?
It's Edidiong is the first name. The last name is AKP, another AKP, AN.
Thank you.
Thank you. So let's see, do we have this one?
I'm trying to find it. Which one are we?
6.3.
Yeah, it's labeled 6.3 at the top.
I got you.
So I guess there's two of them.
Okay. Somebody help me here. This is,
Do you have a 6.3? Do you need a 6.3? I have two 6.3s.
oh, I've got it. Okay, good, thank you. Yeah, so do I. Nicole, we both have two 6.3s. Is that just a duplication?
There's two cases.
Okay, thank you.
125-21 and 126.
Okay. This is 125-21? Oh, it's both of them, I got you. Both of them under 6.3, okay.
Don't confuse us.
Oh, so two different properties?
Yeah, but there's one.
Oh,
Now,
confused.
lien amounts?
Do you have any questions on this?
Yeah, what are
This isn't a reduction of fees, this is a reduction, reduce the abatement lien.
It's a what?
Oh.
It's a what?
It's to remove
To
the
eliminate the
abatement
abatement lien, which is $6,090.
Okay. I'm not familiar with these.
Nuisance abatement is the city comes in and cleans up the
Cleans up
property.
the property. I got
And then
it.
puts a lien based on their cost. So that's $6,090.
Is cost.
That's our cost. That was the city's cost.
That was the city's cost that they put the lien on. The actual administrative cost in this case is $2,605.
Okay.
There was two amounts that were added together for the total. It's not.
We just gave it to them.
I know.
And do the two amounts cover everything that happened?
She's correct.
This is-
That's the amount for this case.
Mr. Chair,
This is for the.
if I
abate-
may,
Yes.
I'm sorry, the
Two
abatement is
cases.
$6,090.
Yes, total.
I need some
Okay,
data.
no administrative.
This is our administrative.
Okay, so that's the total, right?
So the
$6,090.
$6,090 is for both, is the city's cost for both?
Yes.
Okay.
Council?
I did just want to clarify that I know that you don't normally see abatement liens. These are hard cost expenditures that the city has, this money's been spent by the city to perform work on the property. You don't normally see these, but I just want to kind of give you a little bit of context that we're maintaining and abating this property. You'll hear more about that. The property owner then objected to some of those expenses, and that's where I advised that it should come here, that we should have, the process should be to present that dispute in front of this board to resolve. So you'll hear the whole situation, but
Okay.
just want to give you that
Okay.
context.
Thank
It
you.
is a little bit different for lien reduction. This is an actual
So could we
abatement.
hear about the case then? Do we need to start with the inspector, or do we need to start with the representative? I know we're all new to this.
Whatever you.
I think it would be.
Let's hear about the case first, please, and then
Yes.
we'll hear, if you don't
Thank you.
mind,
We'll call you
sir.
back up in a moment.
Please take a seat, and then
Yeah, thanks.
Good afternoon, Board. Inspector Gregory Dixon, Code Compliance Inspector for the City of Clearwater. This is for cases 1-125-21 and 126-21. These are two vacant lots that sit on Myrtle Avenue. They're identified in our system as 820 Hart Street, 407 and 409 Myrtle Avenue. There was one violation when this was brought before the board for lot clearing. The notice of violation was posted and mailed on 7/20 of 2021, with a compliance date of 7/30. The certified mail receipt was received unclaimed on 8/18/21, and this property was found in violation by the board on 8/25/21. Until this last October, November, I haven't heard from the company that owns this property throughout the length of this. There have been 4 or 6 cleanups done at this property. 4 have been for overgrowth and 2 have been for homeless camp cleanups. And these are the various dates. They're about a year apart until 2023, where we had to clean it up a couple of times. These are where the lots sit. It's north of Drew Street, just south of the railroad tracks on Myrtle. And this property is one large lot, but is divided into 2 separate parcels. Therefore, each parcel must be cited for a violation. When found in violation, each parcel will be issued an abatement order. There have been 10 total abatements on the property. The entire lot has been cleared of overgrowth 4 separate times, which equals 8 abatements. And there have been 2 occasions when our contractor had to remove transient camps from the debris associated with transient camps. This is in 7/20/21 when I posted the property and it was initially overgrown. The owners do send out somebody, but they only mow this little, maybe 5 or 6 foot from Myrtle Avenue, where you can see the difference in height of the grass. But it's quite overgrown when I posted it. And then about a year later, on 8/15/22, it became overgrown again. So the contractor was sent out at that time. There's a little bit of debris. And then October 2022, I had to send them out just to do a debris cleanup from a homeless camp back in the corner of the property. And then in July of 2023, it was overgrown again. These are the same photos. I took some on the 31st, some on the 1st. And these were taken on September 8th. My camera died, so I had to use the iPhone, but if I need to, I can prove that they were taken on September 8th, 2023.
Waiting.
Miracle of modern technology.
And while you're scrolling through those, or tell me again, how many times have they communicated back and forth with you since this started?
Between the time I posted it to the time of this picture, 0 times.
Okay, thank you.
But then, say October, November, I was contacted by somebody who identified themselves as Amir, and they went through and they clear cut this whole lot, and I haven't had an issue with it since. But at the time that he contacted me, he also wanted to dispute all of the times that I've sent contractors out to abate the property.
Thank you.
And then on 9/29, there was a homeless camp that had to be cleaned up. So those are all the pictures leading up to why I sent the contractor out, and I think that there's a dispute that we actually did the work. So I also have the email correspondence from our contractor that when they send the invoice, and they'll send a before and an after picture the same day that they're there. So that's quite a few more slides, so if I need to, I can go over those too.
I don't
Or
think I need
if you want them as a pair.
Yeah, agreed.
This is a hard cost.
And
Yeah, I agree.
the total was $6,090, is that correct?
Yeah.
Those are the hard costs?
Sir, if you'd
The
like to
total
come
hard
forward
costs?
again, please.
Those are hard costs.
$6,090.
Thank you. So from our viewpoint, this case happened during the COVID, and we didn't receive any notice that the case was actually happening. We didn't even know that there was a situation to handle because we have an ongoing maintenance person that goes and takes care of the lot, and we have all the evidence for that, which I can show. So we found out about this back in last year, I think right around September or October, when we received a mail of this was the mail that we received, which that's the first mail we actually received that made us aware that we actually have a situation. And immediately that was handled. You know, we sent out someone to go handle it. But part of the problem is that when we inquired with the inspector, we got these photos here showing the situation and the timestamp. And then we sent our guys to go and actually get the job done, which is just 2 weeks later. And this is what it looked like when the guy went over there to actually do the work. That's before. This is after, which shows that the work was not done. We did the work. And we have other invoices proving that a lot of this work was actually done by us. We have a continuing maintenance. In fact, the reason we even have the situation was because of COVID things, we didn't receive the mail, so we weren't aware that there was a situation. But overall, we've been really taking responsibility for the lot and taking care of it. And I feel like there is potentially some sort of a missed billing of some sort, because I went through some of the information that I got here from the inspector in terms of the evidence they have that we actually owed this money. And he sent me the invoices and the RFQ for each of those nuisance abatements. And on some of this here is actually issued before, like I'll give you an example. The first nuisance that started this whole situation, which was in July 2021. This is from the inspector himself, and this actually was issued in August 19, 2020, which is before the nuisance. So I don't understand how.
Wait, this started in, wait, what was the date that this started?
July of 2021.
Okay. And then you're saying that's the date of what?
The RFQ that he sent me for that specific nuisance, this is this one over here, the one ending in 00979.
Okay, but what's the
That-
date? The date.
Oh, that's the original abatement nuisance. I think that was July 2021. That's the
Correct.
original
Okay,
part.
that's the correct date. But
Yeah.
you're saying that was submitted before the date of this?
What he sent me shows an RFQ was sent out in 2020, August.
August
Is it-
2020.
And there's no evidence that this was abated by the city. There's evidence that we did the work. In fact, I have an invoice here in September 2021. And the ones before that showing a continuous maintenance of the lot. This is an invoice we paid. You see? So we have two situations here. Number one, we weren't aware that this was happening. Immediately when we became aware, we immediately got in communication with the office. And we showed good faith that we're actually taking care of this. And we've been taking care of it, you see. So we were basically, I tried to strike a deal with the inspector to just, if you want to charge us, just charge us for just one instance. Because he sent me something saying that they actually did mail the original nuisance to us, you see.
So did you get a response back, like you normally would get the response back? Did you get a response or no?
I haven't spoken with anybody representing this property until, like he said, last year, September, October.
Right, but normally you mail something.
Oh, yeah, the mail's returned. It all goes to a P.O. box, and...
Because my point with that is the
Set
homeowner is
aside for it.
responsible for having access to their mail and for the address to be correct that's filed with the city. That's why I'm asking that question.
Yeah.
So is there discrepancy with the address, discrepancy with the
The
PO box?
address is correct. In fact, that's the address that we received there, the bill that they sent to us here.
Okay.
This was during COVID, and a lot of things were kind of going wrong, so maybe I just suspected maybe something happened and that went back, because we did receive.
Am I to understand that Mr. Dixon, Inspector Dixon, that you saw some work was being done, but it was only a portion, that the entirety of the property wasn't
Yeah,
being...
about a 5-foot strip along along Myrtle Avenue on the, what would be called the 407, 409 Myrtle Avenue parcel.
Okay. All right. And I'm assuming that the standard certified mails went out?
Yeah, with the
notices.
initial notice of violation, then once the abatement order is issued, there is no more mailings. We just, when it becomes out of compliance, we send a contractor to abate.
Okay. All right.
Rebecca, Code Manager. I just want to also add that it's the process and policy within code compliance, and in addition to sending the notice, if it does come back unreceived or we don't get that green card signed from the certified mail, we also post the property, and all property owners should be monitoring and would see that red posting on their property as well.
Thank you.
Board?
Mr. Chair, I just want to add one more thing to that. When we get that initial order, that order is recorded, and that order does contemplate abate and maintain a nuisance. So, our position, and when I was getting familiar with the city and how Clearwater does things, we go through that initial procedure, we get that order, it says abate and maintain. We take the position that we don't have to come back through and do all the procedures over again, particularly when we're talking about a vacant lot and all we're doing is going on to a vacant lot and taking trash and cutting the grass. As far as property interests that are at stake, that's one of the lowest that we encounter. We're not talking about demolishing a building or something like that. So we're just going out there and we're taking the trash off and cutting the grass. So we don't think that the city is required to go through, bring a whole new case every single time that we need to go out there and do it. We get an order, it says abate and maintain. That order gets recorded in the public records, which should put everyone on notice of its existence. And at that point, it's very simple to get that order released. All you have to do is bring the property into compliance and then pay the bill, and then we will satisfy that order. And at that point, we will have to go through our procedure again. But that's not what occurred here. So that's our position. We have an order, it's recorded, it says we can maintain the property. At that point, we can, if we want to maintain. We don't have the obligation to go and maintain every time, but we don't feel like we have to go through all the procedures over and over again at that point.
Yes. Thank you for that. Yes, sir.
But even if it's abate and maintain, that does not relieve the city from proper notices.
So my issue with this, like when we talk about COVID, like obviously, March 2020, everything went crazy and nobody knew what to do, right? But we're talking about July 2021. And so I'm having a hard time understanding that the mail didn't get delivered a year and a half later. Like I'm having a hard time saying because of COVID, we're not getting the mail. So my issue is like the notification should have been received. So whether it was at the PO box or not, the posting was on the property. So I'm having a hard time understanding why it wasn't resolved sooner.
I'm also having a problem with if I have a big piece of property and every once in a while I come by there and it's all taken care of, mowed, cleaned up, I would start checking as who's mowed my lawn and who's cleaned up my property. And it seems to me that should have been done, especially if there's a big red poster sitting in the front of the place as well. So it's difficult for me to understand why it's taken this long for you to get this issue resolved.
Well, I think that's a misunderstanding because we actually have been maintaining the property. That's
Well, so is the city.
For me, unless I see a full auditing on your invoices and
I would
his
be glad
invoices,
to hand this
I don't
to you.
believe either. I mean, no, but I need all of it. For me, from my accounting background, I would
Yeah.
need to audit all of it. I can't take your word, I can't take his word, is how I feel. So unless there's more proof to say there's a proper discrepancy.
The proof I have specifically shows that, the process of the city going to purchase services is to quote-unquote abate the law. Number one is not following the city's protocol in doing that. There's no bids.
So you're saying code enforcement is not following city
Its own city
rules for
protocol
their
for
own
abatement.
request for quotes?
Number one. Number two, we have
I don't know
our own
if that's
evidence.
probably beyond our scope of.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Like, that's not anything that you would have to take that up with the city. We're just a code enforcement and volunteer board, like anything beyond, if there's a code, like if there's a city issue that they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, if you're valid on that, then I would take that up with the city, that's not something that we could do. So I misunderstand you, sorry, I misunderstood you on that, but if there's somebody within the city that's not following the proper procedures on that, then that needs to be taken up on a city level, not here.
Right, but the substantial evidence is that we actually did the work. That's the substantial, and they haven't provided something to show that they did the work. In fact, I have a specific instance of an evidence.
I mean, he's saying that he has them there and that we could scroll through them if we wanted to see them, the
We
invoices
could
and the
do
work.
that, absolutely, because I do have specific instances of evidence from
Okay,
the
just a
city.
moment, we're gonna have Rebecca.
Rebecca Mulder, Code Compliance Manager. I just wanted to add that, one, to address his question, we do go out to bid for our contractor. We don't bid them every single time we have a
Right.
job. We get a contract, we put this work out to bid annually, and then contractors submit their bids to us, and we pick the candidate, and so we have a contractor that does this routinely. Additionally, he may have had a contractor that went out and worked on the property. Our contractor is there to do minimum work. We're not there to landscape it. We're there to remove the violations, which means overgrowth on the sidewalk, obtruding that over 12 feet tall grass. So what our contractor does may not have been to the extent that his did it on those occasions that he's claiming we're out there, but our code states that if it gets over 12 inches tall, then we need to abate it, or if it goes onto the sidewalk, and we documented that.
I have a
That makes
question
sense.
for Ms. Mulder. If the contractor rolls up to the property to abate it and the work has been done, do they still submit an invoice, or they simply say, okay, it's good and roll on?
Generally, if a contractor goes out, that we have with the city, goes out to a property that they were requested to abate, one, they do a bid ahead of time, so they'll go out, inspect the property, submit a bid, we approve that bid for the work, then they schedule a day to go out. If on the day they go out, the property appears to be in compliance, they would contact that inspector and verify the address and let them know that the issue is no longer there. The inspector would meet the contractor out on site and then make a determination from there.
So if we're seeing an invoice, it means they did some work.
Correct, and they submit before and after photos when they submit the final invoice.
Okay, thank you.
It seems to me the city's gone out there and done the work. I
Yeah,
don't think there's any objection to that. And
I
I
don't-
think if the gentleman has a problem with the way the city does business, he has to take it up with the city.
I would agree.
I agree.
I think our,
And one more thing, please. With regards to maintaining the law, there's two things here. One is abating, the other one is maintaining, you know. Because I don't want to like drag on and get into a long dispute, because we really try to take care of the property. You know, it's not a issue of complete negligence, you know. So I think those two things need to be separated, you know, abatement and maintenance. Because on none of the maintenance times where we informed that they went ahead and did anything, and here's the bill. We didn't receive any notice of that. We didn't receive any notice that there's another growth, which we got.
don't you
So
take any
again, if
responsibility
there's-
for seeing that yourself? Or don't you pay any attention to do you have to have the city let you know that there's people living on your property illegally, or that the grass and everything is high?
No.
You don't think
No,
you
no,
should?
we assume responsibility for that because we.
But you keep blaming the city for not sending you any information like this.
I'm just saying we didn't receive those information. The first time we hear about this is
But-
actually on this.
Yeah, Mr.
Yeah,
Chair,
but
I can
we're
gonna go back to
reiterate
council for a
our
second.
position on that. I mean, that was, the order says that maintain, I mean, if he'd like to separate that, that's something that the board
Yeah, we can't.
can
That's what I
consider
was-
in other cases, but
Thank
we
you,
have
that's
an
what I was
order.
trying to
Right,
state.
an
If
order
there's
that's
a
recorded.
procedural issue you have with the city, then that's something that has to be taken up with the city. We can't separate anything that's already been ordered. So if it says to abate and maintain, we're following up on abate and maintain. We're not separating any of that. So again, if you have any procedural issues, that's something to take up with the city. You know, but at this point, based on the conversations and the data and the numbers, I don't see a reason to reduce anything. I would like the city to recover its costs. If they've done the work and they've been paid for it, I don't see why the city should be left on the hook for that.
So board,
And
you
so
like-
then I'm assuming the
I think I wanna
property is
say-
in good condition, and I'm assuming that going forward, you'll be paying attention to it, and then we won't see you again before the board because it's already gonna be taken care of, right? Like, it's
Yeah.
gonna be good moving
we've
forward,
been
right?
Yes. We've been doing that.
Okay. Good for getting out to the property at some point
Yeah.
and now maintaining it. That's a good thing. I think that anybody that owns a property that has vegetation on it knows that there has to be some kind of maintenance done. And I don't think it's fair to expect the city to, number one, notify you that it needs to be maintained. I think that comes with property ownership. But I also understand that and don't disagree with the procedure of having to notify a property owner every time you're going out. Once there's an order in place,
Yeah,
it should motivate an owner to say, oh, geez, I better keep an eye on this
Yeah,
and
you're
take
not
care
gonna
of
get
it.
a monthly reminder
And
like the power bill, like.
Exactly. I have no objection to the city recouping its costs.
Yeah,
We have a
I agree.
motion.
I agree.
Good. I move to enter an order, let me get this right. It's not reducing. Which page are we?
Do we have to make a motion? It would just be a motion to
Okay.
deny the request.
Okay.
I make a motion to deny the request for lien reduction and to require the owner to pay the city's cost of $6,090.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much for your time.
Right, so one question, what recourse do I have going forward in the matter?
I don't,
You'll have to consult with a private attorney about that.
yeah.
I mean, as far as the city procedures, I'll defer to Mr. Salzman, but I don't believe there are any more city procedures.
Not as far as I think that exhausts your administrative remedies unless there's something I'm unaware of. So you would have to contact an attorney.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Case number 28-23 and 83-23, approve the stipulation and agreement for petitioner Sonia Nassif and Mark Youssef at 1445 Cleveland Street.
Mr.
Anybody
Chair.
here to speak up? I guess. Okay.
I wanted to speak to this because I did prepare this. This was something that was brought to my attention, I don't know, maybe last week or sometime around there. It was presented to me that there were people that wanted to buy this property. This is a property that's got a long history of violations and abatements. It's been a distressed property, a problem property for the city. We're eager to hear the board's feedback on these types of situations. We've talked about it on the staff side. Our opinion is that if somebody wants to come in and fix a problem property, we want to try to make that happen if we can. We know these liens can grow and get pretty large, and that can put a property in the water, and it can make it so that an investor or somebody that wants to improve the property doesn't have the means to do it. The whole point of this process is compliance. We want people to put money into their property. We don't want to use this process to put money into the general fund. It's really to try to get people to put money into their property. So I just want to say that's kind of our policy guidance in this sort of consideration. So this was brought to us. They said they had suggested $5,000 was something that could be done, and that would help facilitate the transaction to get a new buyer in who could then come in, clean up the property, and do it within 90 days. The way that I drafted the agreement is that essentially nothing would happen to the lien unless they brought it into compliance within 90 days of the effective date of the agreement. If they fail to meet that deadline, the agreement's void. It's like it never happened. If they do meet the deadline, then the fine gets reduced to $5,000, and they have 60 days to pay that. If they don't pay it within 60 days, then again, the agreement becomes void, and it's like it never happened. So the agreement is in the name of, it's stated as Lowell Kelly, or Kelly Lowell, I think was the original owner. When it originally came to me, this was under contract. I don't know, apparently it may have closed. They can maybe tell us the status of that. I was told that it closed, so I changed some of the wording. I'm not sure that really matters, because in our opinion, the only thing that really matters is getting the property cleaned up and brought into compliance and in a quick time frame. So that's the whole point of this. That's why we're recommending it. And I don't know if they want to add anything to that.
Do you want to come up and speak on the property?
Can you give me the number again? I'm trying to find it. I'm not.
6.4.
6.4, okay, thank you.
6.4.
And normally, these are agreements that have been, as you know, negotiated by the city, and the city is bringing it forward for your approval.
Okay.
You've been sworn in, correct?
Yes.
Okay, state your name and address.
Jessica Martin, 3003 St. John Drive, Clearwater, Florida,
Thank you.
33759. So I'm actually just here because I was helping facilitate this process, and Sonia was supposed to be here today, but I don't believe she's here. So if you do have any questions, I'm just here to answer those for you.
Okay.
Okay. Am I to understand, can I ask questions? Am I to understand that basically the house has been in violation for a while, it's going to be purchased, and the agreement outstanding is that the new buyer is going to take care of the violations, rehab the property, whatever,
Right.
within 90 days, and at that point, if they do that, then the fine reduces to $5,000.
Right, and we wouldn't have, the point originally, I guess, if they've closed, I mean, maybe the circumstances change a little bit, but originally, if somebody's coming in to buy property, they want to kind of have an idea of some certainty to these liens, because they can grow very high, but we all know that they do get reduced, how much they get reduced, and that sort of thing. Title companies are very reluctant to insure title on properties with these liens out there, but sometimes they will if you can get an agreement like this that will give you a specific number as to what that will be. Then they can hold that amount in escrow, or the parties can negotiate between who pays what and that sort of thing. It can become a point of negotiation. We don't want to get involved in that negotiation side of it and tilt the scale in favor of a buyer or a seller. We don't have an interest in that. We just want the property cleaned up. And so if a buyer comes in and they say they want to take responsibility for this and they want to clean it up, we're just trying to give them some kind of certainty so that they can move forward, get to the closing table, and then hopefully get the property cleaned up. So that's the whole point of this, is to just give some level of certainty to be able to close a transaction.
Got it. Can you tell us, has the property closed yet, or no?
Yes.
It
Yes,
has?
the property is closed.
Okay. And so is the clock essentially ticking then for them
Yes.
to get this?
Well, I mean, technically, if
When
they've
they're-
closed, and now these folks that were originally presented to us as contract purchasers, now they are the owners.
Right.
So they are legally responsible for these liens
Okay.
as they exist without this agreement in place with them. And they have essentially assumed responsibility at this point. I don't know what their contracts say. There could have been something in the contract between the parties that might
Was there a
adjust
total
that,
amount
but
of the liens before this? Do you know what
The
that
total
was?
amount?
Yeah.
I'd have
It's
to-
about
Rough-
$62,000 roughly.
How much?
About 62,000, and then
Okay.
there was an additional like 3,000 that was paid
Okay,
at
thank you,
closing.
thank you. And 5,000 was just,
I'm good with 5,000.
everybody's happy, yeah?
It was what was originally proposed to us. We calculated our costs, and it was more than enough to
Perfect.
cover our
Okay.
costs.
That's
So we
great.
can just go ahead and approve it unless you have more questions?
I have a question.
Okay.
I know there's a stipulation agreement in place, but the contractor side of me wants to ask, is the 90 days, you've looked at that, and that's more than enough to get all of the violations cleared?
I mean, I'm speaking for Sonia, but yes, that's what we agreed upon, and they've already started. I don't know if you guys have driven by the property, but it looks much better already, so.
Okay. All right,
Good.
good.
So as long as they know they have that timeline to beat, then, and you're on top of it and communicating with them, then I think we're good. City's happy, they're getting everything done, we're happy.
Yeah.
We got a motion, or we need a motion?
So I move to
Yeah, no, no,
accept the
accept the agreement,
stipulation
right.
agreement for $5,000 payable within 60 days, as long as the homeowner meets the 90-day timeline.
Second.
Was that correct?
You know, the way I would do it is
Just to
is
approve.
basically accept the agreement.
We
I
did
accept
attach
the
the agreement,
agreement.
so all the
Okay.
all the
Second.
terms are in there.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
All right. Nuisance abatement liens.
Mr. Chair, I just, one more thing, this is just more generally on this. We did have some internal discussion about these because they don't come up all the time, but, you know, in a situation where closings or timeframes are very tight, you may see the city come with and ask for approval of this after the fact, because we want to go ahead and we want to get it executed. We want to get the ball rolling, get properties cleaned up. So I'm just letting you know, this one, we did go ahead and bring it in prior to executing it or everything, so we were, it was open to discussion about what the terms could be and that sort of thing, but I did want to just make you aware that there could be situations where in the future where we have kind of already locked in an agreement because we're trying to get the ball rolling on it. And
As a realtor, I appreciate that because the
Yeah.
timelines
Okay.
are tight, but as a city resident, I also appreciate that because that means it's a win-win. We're all getting to
Yeah.
what we want. We want the properties in compliance. That's great.
Amen.
Well, that's good to hear, because I bring it up just to hear your opinion on that. If you didn't
Vote
like
for
that,
my
we would not be doing that.
All right, moving on.
All right.
Case number 42-24, accept the nuisance abatement lien for respondent Patricia Halick at 1404 West Virginia Avenue of inoperable vehicle, I know this house, in order to issue compliance deadline the city is not met. Anybody here to speak on that? No, okay. You got the floor.
Good afternoon, Board, fellow inspectors. I'll give your attention to 1404 West Virginia Lane. It's going to be nuisance abatement. My name is Mark Still. I'm a code inspector for the city of Clearwater. Violations, we have one. It's going to be an inoperable vehicle. For purposes of procedure, I mistakenly submitted those two cases separately, so those follow-on cases, they all belong together. As far as the property, the notification was sent for the violation on February the 8th, and then you have the return certified mail on February 15th. Compliance date was scheduled for the 29th of February. Affidavit of posting was on the same date. Here you're going to see the notice of violation posted underneath the windshield wiper on the vehicle. That is the property in its totality. The vehicle's right here. Just a quick synopsis. This property and the vehicle approximately at the vicinity between started from 2020 till now. The owner's last activity on the vehicle has been sometime in 2020. The actual license plate displays June of 2020, so that is when the license expired. Since then, the vehicle has been on the property with flat tires deemed inoperable. The property itself, well, that's the return, is the return. And then the property itself, utilities were on automated payment. They still being paid. However, everything was submitted manually as far as payment, as far as taxes, property taxes, and solid waste is not being paid since at least 2022. And checked with police 911 communications. There was a medical emergency in 2022, and according to the neighbors, the person has not, or the owner has not returned to the location. The compliance can be met by removing the abandoned vehicle or display current registration and inflate the tires in order to render the vehicle operable. And requesting compliance within 5 days after the board renders the order.
I flipped the house directly next door to it, so I know this house really well.
Oh, yes.
So you sent certified mail and it was accepted. You got the receipt back, correct?
Negative. Certified mail, everything returned.
Okay.
Returned to sender.
Okay.
There was multiple, because I made first contact with the property in January during training, and I already had sent a courtesy notice back then, and it also returned. So there was a total set of 3 certified mails returned to sender.
And the neighbor at the end of the street's been mowing the lawn for her, but they don't even know where she is.
Yeah. Our neighbors don't know where she is. There's, one was a talk of, she being some sort of facility, and but we are unclear of this position. And the building effectively has not been inhabited since 2022 at least. And on the follow-on case, when we go over the lot, we'll be able to see that time lapse.
Okay.
But as far as the vehicle, that's what I have.
It hasn't moved in 2
No.
years or so since I've been
Wow.
dealing with it.
It's just like the whole place seems to be abandoned except for the utility payments set up on automatic. They want
Okay,
that.
accept it?
Yeah.
Yep. Who wants to read?
I move to enter an order finding the respondent in violation of code and requiring the respondent to correct the violations within 5 days of the board's written order. If the respondent does not comply within the time specified, the city may take all reasonable actions, including entry onto the property to abate and maintain the nuisance, and charge the respondent with a reasonable cost, which will become a lien on the property. If costs, fines, and fees remain unpaid 3 months after such lien is filed, the city is authorized to foreclose, collect, or settle such lien.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. And thank you for staying up. Case number 43-24, a nuisance abatement lien for Patricia Halick at 1401 West Virginia Air for light clearing.
All right, again, good afternoon, board.
Same house.
1404 West Virginia Lane, nuisance abatement. My name is Mark Still, I'm code compliance officer in the city of Clearwater. It's going to be, what number of violations? It's going to be 1. It's going to be the lot clearing, accumulation of weeds and overgrowth. Those are the dates of the notifications sent out, and with the same compliance date as the ABB, which was the February 29th. They were posting also on the 29th. Here's a picture of the post visible in front of the house from the side of the street. That's the property in its totality. Again, we can see that the vehicle here, that as far as lot clearing purposes, the solid waste was not taken out. It was originally in the side of the building. I pushed it to the side so solid waste can pick it up. And we'll go to the back of the structure. We have overgrowth in the back of the principal building right here and alongside the fence. The overgrowth at some places or some locations in the yard exceed 5 foot. Then there's a different perspective from the yard. Each of those bushels is roughly 1 foot in height. And that's just an accumulation of pictures from the property. We see along the fence line, excessive growth right here. Then that's the trash was not approximately taken out 2 years, 3 years. Then you have further accumulation of weeds and overgrowth, and also in the front of the building and along the building wall. Then again, we had the same set of, send everything out the same day. We returned back to sender, and then also utility-wise, we do know that utilities are paid, but everything else is not paid taxes and solid waste. And there has been no activity as far as the meter. There has not been no activity within the household. Nobody uses the utilities.
It's like it's abandoned.
The compliance can be met for lot clearing by removing all excessive growth, accumulation of weeds, grass on the growth, furthermore, the removal of all the debris, trash, and plant materials.
All right, who wants to do the nuisance abatement?
And request for compliance in 5 days after the board renders its order.
Thank you.
I move to enter an order finding the respondent in violation of code and requiring the respondent to correct violations within 5 days of the board's written order. If the respondent does not comply within the time specified, the city may take all reasonable actions, including entry onto the property, to abate and maintain the nuisance and charge the respondent with reasonable costs, which will become a lien on the property. If costs, fines, and fees remain unpaid for 3 months If costs, fines, and fees remain unpaid 3 months after such lien is filed, the city is authorized to foreclose, collect, or settle such lien.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you, and you get to stay up here. Case number 44-24, accept the nuisance abatement lien for respondents Thomas Little, PA, at 2123 Northeast Coachman Road for an operative vehicle. Anybody here to speak on that? I don't think so.
Good afternoon again, board, members of the board. It's going to be 2123 Northeast Coachman Road, nuisance abatement. My name is Mark Still, code compliance officer of the city of Clearwater. Number of violations, we have 2 violations, one code section 1503 B7 and B6, accumulation and placement of nuisances, lot clearing, and inoperable vehicle, which entails a trailer with 2 jet skis, loaded with 2 jet skis. Courtesy letter was sent on the 11th of January. Notice of violation was sent on March 1st. Compliance date was March 11th. Affidavit was also March 11th. Now, that property itself, I took over that zone. There's going to be a separate case for that property. I just took over the lot. What you can see here is the posting in front of those jet skis. I got to think a better picture maybe. Okay, here we go. All right, so the lot itself is overgrowth on the vacant lots, the vacant parking spaces, and that vegetation and leaves. And then we have the trailer sitting there with flat tires, and the jet ski itself, unknown persons probably took the engines already out of the jet skis. So it's been sitting there quite some time. According to the registration plate, it's been expired since 2015. I'm going to have a close-up of that as well. But here you can see the overgrowth and the dead vegetation covering the vacant portion of the parking space. Then you have a lot of leaves and vegetation alongside the sidewalk, and then over the area where the jet ski trailer was. Here's a close-up. And those are actually parking spaces. So underneath that there's concrete. And then here, a picture from the backside of those jet skis. And then here you can see this overgrowth again. And that's on both sides. Now, oh yeah, that's a close-up of the license plate. So March 15th is, I don't know if the trailer been there since then, but it's been definitely expired since then. March of 2015. Then those are the recent pictures. It appears that in the meantime there was some leaf blowing going on here, but basically all the leaves are blown over the overgrowth, and it still maintains to this date. There's another picture of the trailer. The trailer has been moved in order to leaf blow, but it's still not operable. Compliance can be met for lot clearing by removing all plant materials, overgrowth and dead vegetation for property, removing abandoned trailer, watercraft, or display current registration, and inflate tires. So we can get this trailer moved or parked according to city code. I request for compliance within 5 days after the board renders this order.
Thank you. Have a motion?
I move to enter an order finding the respondent in violation of code and requiring the respondent to correct the violation within 5 days of the board's written order. If the respondent does not comply with within the time specified, the city may take all reasonable actions, including entry onto the property, to abate and maintain the nuisance and charge the respondent with the reasonable cost, which will become a lien on the property. If costs, fines, and fees remain unpaid 3 months after such lien is filed, the city is authorized to foreclose, collect, or settle such lien.
A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
And this is our final case coming up. Yay. Case number 54-24. Accept the nuisance abatement lien for respondents Christopher and Ruby Voigt at 205 South Evergreen Avenue for an operative vehicle. Is there anybody here to speak on that? No.
Good afternoon, Board. John Stevens, Code Compliance Inspector for the City of Clearwater. Again, this is case number 5424, reference 205 South Evergreen for nuisance abatement. We have one violation here for storage of an inoperable vehicle. Notice of violation was met on February 26th of this year with a compliance date of March 22nd. The certified mail actually came back as not picked up, but as you can see there, the picture I have actually shows the physical posting that I actually did on the car. Some things that are kind of hard to see in that photo is this vehicle is actually wrecked. The front driver's side is kind of crashed in a little bit, and then the gray thing that almost looks like a shopping bag up in the window, that's actually the passenger side airbag that has been deployed. And you can see if you look through the window that the driver's side airbag has been cut out. On the rear of the vehicle, it does not have a tag, which is required by our ordinance to make it legally operable on the road. And this was the day of compliance, which again, front end still crashed. You can see the airbag still there, and there is still no tag present on the vehicle. And as of this morning, it is still in the same state. So obviously, compliance can be met by repairing the vehicle that's mechanically operable and obtaining and displaying a valid license plate on the vehicle or removal of the vehicle from the property. And we are requesting that they come in compliance in 5 days after the board renders its order.
Thank you very much.
I'll do this one.
Good.
I move to enter an order finding the respondent in violation of code and requiring the respondent to correct the violations within 5 days of the board's written order. If the respondent does not comply within the time specified, the city may take all reasonable actions, including entry onto the property to abate and maintain the nuisance and charge the respondent with the reasonable costs, which will become a lien on the property. If costs, fines, and fees remain unpaid 3 months after such lien is filed, the city is authorized to foreclose, collect, or settle such lien.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. And with that, this meeting is adjourned.
That last one. I didn't see.
Good meeting.